All right. So people often tell me that they don't get art, and I don't blame them. It's weird, it's confounding, and it's pretty opaque, but it's important. It's a hallmark of our species, a global language that enriches our lives, and whether we're talking about Picasso's Guernica or early cave paintings, gives insight into culture and society. But assuming that most of you don't come from an art background, I thought that I'd start by clearing up a few things. First, maybe your kid could have done it, but that's not the point. Students who've mastered the formal aspects of their medium only become artists when they develop their own voice. And art dealers are experts at identifying and nurturing these artists, as well as affixing meaning and value to the work in the larger context of the art market. So just because the huge difference between a Matisse cutout and your child's collage might seem arbitrary, doesn't mean that it's meaningless. Second, no other industry is as relationship-driven as high-end art. Galleries don't just sell works to the highest bidder. Who is buying is equally as important, if not more important. Even availability depends on who you are. So, lastly, art may be niche, but it's definitely not small business and it continues to grow. Today, the industry employs over 3.2 million people and has $55 billion a year in sales, the GDP of a small nation. Now, let's talk briefly about the buyers. Art is expensive, and people don't just plop down $100 million for a painting on a whim. The people who purchase it are highly sophisticated, and further, art is an asset class. For some collectors, the total value of their art collection is greater than the value of all other financial assets they own. You might assume, given the sophistication of the players, that the buying experience is polished and streamlined. Well, it's not. Until recently, the mobile tools that the industry relied on were a combination of note cards and binders. This creates problems so frustrating it borders on comical. Like when a gallery double sells a work. One dealer sells a work, then goes to get coffee, and then another dealer sells the same work to someone else. Or the ubiquity of the verbal commitment. The art industry is often referred to as a gentleman's business, AKA the Wild West. Yep. Yeah, this leads to reneging or worse, buyer's remorse. So to get a little personal, my first job after grad was at a gallery in New York. The 3-room binders that I was talking about, that was my full-time job. We were getting ready for a puzzle, and I was prepping and printing tens of thousands of pieces of paper to organize into binders. It was 2010. The iPad had just come out, so I asked what any 20-something would have asked. Isn't there an app for that? There wasn't. Not even close. So you've heard a tale of two art worlds, a culturally cutting-edge, billion-dollar, complex industry, and the inefficient one that operates on an outmoded and outdated infrastructure. What's going on? One common refrain is that art is impervious to change. I still hear things like collectors prefer paper. Art is so visceral, there's a common attitude that tech has no place in art. This is just wrong. The art industry is dying for technology-driven change. Another big reason is privacy. The players in this space are infamously private, reticent to trust anyone with their information. Sure, they might keep their banking information online, but their art prices, forget it. They fear that technology means relinquishing control, and nothing is less hackable than paper. Anyone that tries to, quote, disrupt the industry from the outside is unlikely to gain the trust necessary of the critical players. People have tried, albeit in a half-assed kind of way, to introduce software to this industry, but bad software isn't a cure for anything. Why should an industry so focused on beauty have such ugly software? I'm not even kidding you, I still run into people that are on MS-DOS. So people didn't get into art to learn how to navigate clunky software. These aren't technophile early adopter types. So if you're gonna make their job easier with technology, it has to be intuitive and visually appealing. The existing software has failed this test and therefore never became transformative in how business was done. So how do we do it? To gain trust and to do this right, change needs to come from within the industry. It sounds obvious that technology is supposed to make us more productive, but until recently, it was just kind of assumed within the industry that tech was something that they would have to work against or around instead of having technology that worked for them. I started 4 years ago trying to bridge that gap with an intuitive interface for the iPad. That little lab experiment turned into ArtBinder, the company I've been building ever since. As we've grown, what I've always returned to in this experience is a chance to help modernize the art industry. To facilitate the conversations which are at the heart of what drives value and sales in the art world. So the next time you're in a gallery and you see them whip out an iPad, tell them it's growing it open brown made it possible, and I bet that they'll give you a huge discount. Thanks.